Joan Rivers said that Michelle Obama was a man before she died.
Was that a joke? I thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke too, but the way she said it wasn't like jokey. She was like, oh, come on, everybody knows Michelle Obama's a man. Like, remember that?
Yeah, like, would Big Mike kill you for that?
Well, I think she died because she had 1,000 plastic surgeries. But
yeah, she was going under.
Yeah.
She just sees these big black arms coming over her face.
In a normal life, your marriage is the core of everything. A happy marriage produces happy people and happy children. And I just don't think she spent a lot of time on that. I mean, she really dislikes her husband. Super obvious. I'm not just saying that to be catty. I think I'm trying to feel compassion for her, but her hostility toward the guy is like unbelievable. And it's been
everything
obvious
she says is negative.
About him, for
how
sure,
long have we known each other?
2007.
I can't even think of one negative comment you've ever made about Susie. I almost never say negative things about Doug.
The clash between Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan over Michelle Obama's legacy doesn't play out like a balanced debate. It's more like a strategic takedown. Imagine bringing Kale to a steakhouse. That's how her carefully curated image gets torn apart. There's no cushion, no polished spin from the press, just unfiltered punches and relentless precision. From her once celebrated public persona to her latest headline-making contradictions, nothing is off limits. This isn't polite analysis. It's a full-blown roast where the truth cuts deep and every point lands with the precision of a finely honed blade.
That's it. This is the one.
Or the first woman
we
president.
already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
a transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty funny how she said it.
Okay, we all know it.
So she's never had a real job in her life. She's like, has nothing in common with any American. She's nasty. She's a hater, clearly. She's utterly ungrateful for every special advantage she's been given her entire life. She went to Princeton on a free ride and she's mad at Princeton? Really? I mean, everything about her is like mediocre, mean, dumb, and not a single achievement in her entire life.
Someone probably should have warned Michelle Obama that Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan hadn't gone silent. Far from it. If she thought post-White House life would be all calm mornings, wellness deals, and cozy podcast appearances, she miscalculated. The two commentators didn't just speak, they struck like hammers against glass, shattering the carefully maintained image she brought with her.
Now that he's a Netflix producer, along with his hate-addled wife, Michelle, he's producing more racial division. The latest is called Leave the World Behind. It's a fictional thriller about the collapse of technology and what humans would do with no phones or computers. The movie follows a family on vacation at a rental house, and one night they're visited by a father and a daughter who show up seeking shelter. They say their phones no longer work and they need a place to stay. So immediately the white family, because they're evil, that's included in their DNA of course, is suspicious of the visitors because they're black. And it goes on and on and on like this. Here's a clip.
I'm asking for you to remember that if the world falls apart, trust should not be doled out easily to anyone, especially white people.
Can't trust white people. They're evil. This is the guy, remember, who became famous at the Democratic Convention in 2004 by telling us there is no white America, there's no black America, it's just one America. But of course, that's not really a profit model in politics, is it? So he's been stoking race hatred ever since, and the disarray around us is the result.
Michelle re-emerged into the public eye, clutching a Netflix deal in one hand while reigniting fresh debate with the other. Just as many believed the chapter of carefully crafted charm and silent double standards had closed, she offered a sharp reminder. This act was far from over.
Michelle Obama says her husband was a way better president than Donald Trump because, among other reasons, he made America eat its carrots or something to that effect. Watch.
The 8 years that Barack was president, it was sort of like having the good parent at home, the one that told you to eat your carrots and go to bed on time. And now perhaps we have the other parent. Maybe it feels fun to some for now because we can eat candy all day and stay up late and not follow the rules.
Let's begin by looking at the most recent headlines. Michelle Obama reportedly sought around $250,000 for certain speaking engagements, even as she positioned herself as a down-to-earth working-class heroine. The contrast is sharp. At a seminar on diversity, her message of "I'm one of you" came while she wore a bespoke Gucci suit and spoke about sacrifice to the crowd. It's akin to seeing a high-earning Walmart manager lead a class on smart couponing. Joe Rogan didn't hold back for a second. His criticism landed like roasting a tofu marshmallow on the rooftop of a burning Whole Foods. both absurd and scorching. He picked apart the polished image Michelle Obama projects, one that feels like it's been run through 10 filters before it ever meets the public eye. Every smile, every quote seems crafted to be both cryptic and uplifting. But Joe wasn't buying it. He tore into her story about spiritual struggle during a yoga session set, of course, on pristine marble countertops, with the blunt force of a grizzly on a mission. For him, the real offense is pretending to be oppressed while lounging in first-class luxury and posting inspirational mantras for millions.
Everybody having a good time. The country's almost back to normal before World War III. COVID was just so strange. We lost a lot of people during COVID, and most of them are still alive. Yeah. Before COVID, I would have told you that vaccines are the most important invention in human history. After COVID, I'm like, I don't think we went to the moon. I think Michelle Obama's got a dick. I think Pizzagate is real. I think there's direct energy weapons and...
Tucker Carlson followed right behind, treating Michelle Obama's narrative like an overdue bill, something he was determined to settle. On live TV, he dismantled her image with the precision of carving a jack-o'-lantern. Nothing was off-limits. Her self-help empire, best-selling books, motivational events, and polished documentaries all came under fire. He didn't mince words, calling it what he saw, a publicity strategy dressed up as moral guidance. And in his eyes, Michelle represents a paradox, too insulated by privilege to face real scrutiny, yet too restricted by her curated image to truly thrive without special treatment. It's not just a contradiction, it's her entire brand identity.
Where he was saying that Michelle Obama should run for president. If she won, she could pull out and China would just give up. I was fucking wheezing. I couldn't breathe. Big Mike.
Big Mike.
During a recent tour stop, Michelle Obama lamented being labeled the angry black woman, right before pocketing a paycheck loaded with more zeros than some national budgets. But when you build a personal brand around the very image you claim to challenge, it's tough to wear the victim's badge with sincerity. That kind of contradiction usually collapses under its own weight. But Tucker and Joe ensured it didn't slip by unnoticed. Joe pointed out the disconnect in her speeches, grand messages about unity and empowerment often shadowed by the unspoken suggestion that a large portion of the country is inherently flawed. He quipped that her words sounded like Hallmark slogans rewritten by someone with a gender studies degree. Slick delivery aside, he argued, even the most polished billboard can't replace real substance. Tucker took that inconsistency and ran with it. He ridiculed Michelle's claims of being nonpartisan while she seemed to treat every Democratic fundraiser like a family reunion. Joe, meanwhile, poked fun at her relentless health branding, as if she were permanently stuck in a CrossFit challenge. And yes, he brought up the infamous school lunch overhaul, reminding everyone of the promise to improve kids' health that instead left cafeterias dishing out gray quinoa mush and kale chips, with the flavor of sidewalk chalk.
I will not run for president.
Yeah, I've heard you say I think Michelle should run.
She could win. She could win, I think. I think if she ran, she could win.
Do you ever run for office?
No.
I have to ask you.
No.
No kind of office.
No.
I don't think she wants that, though.
No,
I don't think she wants that in her life. The bull that they dealt with over the 8 years when he was president.
Because I've got these two young people at home. Being the kids, the daughters of a president, just think about it. Not so easy.
That job for anybody that really good at it.
Yeah, I trust the person who doesn't want the job more than the person who wants the job.
It's not something that I'm interested in or would ever do, ever.
The irony had Joe bursting into laughter. America's kids weren't getting slimmer. They were just hungrier and more annoyed. It was as if Michelle tried to tackle childhood obesity by making school lunches so unappealing no one wanted to eat. Then Tucker jumped in, criticizing her for flaunting an over-the-top wardrobe that practically demands a trademark, all while pretending to be a relatable outsider mingling with Hollywood's elite. While everyday families clip pizza coupons, Michelle, whose public persona rails against elitism, jets off to private islands, enjoys brunch with Beyoncé and Oprah, and headlines Netflix specials. Draped in luxury fabrics and wrapped up with a TED Talk flourish, she isn't just part of the elite, she's its reigning figurehead. Even the image of America's mom that she so carefully cultivates seemed to crack under the spotlight. Joe remarked that every word she utters is treated like the release of a new iPhone, analyzed, branded, and carefully managed. And Tucker didn't let up, taking aim at the idea that Michelle remains oppressed, despite raking in more money from a single speech than most Americans will see in years. In their view, she's the only person in the country who manages to claim both power and victimhood at the exact same time.
You know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
We know he wasn't really running the country. Yeah. We used to think he was actually running the country, and now they're like, no, he didn't even see those executive orders. That was all auto-penned.
Tucker had to pause just to give the audience a moment after Michelle claimed she felt invisible in the White House, despite appearing on what felt like every magazine cover in circulation. The contradiction wasn't limited to her lifestyle. It extended deep into gender politics. Her sudden leap from First Lady to feminist icon came off less like growth and more like a calculated brand refresh. One moment, she's hosting backyard events for kids. The next, she's hailed as a guru of lifestyle wisdom and intersectional theory. Joe Rogan joked that the whole thing felt like a TEDx daydream built around a Spotify playlist. As her message became more woke, her connection to everyday reality seemed to drift further away. Tucker pointed out how Michelle cleverly uses race and identity politics like breadcrumbs, leading followers along a carefully designed trail that just might point to 2028. With every subtle hint and smile, she seems to be flirting with another run at public life. Joe took that possibility and treated it like the trailer for a sequel no one asked for. A political reboot that feels more like a cautionary tale. The idea of her running for office wasn't just far-fetched, it was almost comedic. Picture policies dressed in pastel packaging critics dismissed as backward, and speeches that sound like emotional TED Talks wrapped in recycled trauma. Tucker didn't need to say much more, he simply laid out the blueprint. Michelle presents herself as a champion of the working class, yet surrounds her efforts with personal chefs, diversity advisors, and yoga coaches. Her version of political outreach? Speeches that feel curated from Pinterest, campaign stops at Whole Foods, and voter events launched from Peloton studios. She avoids direct action. Her mission isn't to govern, it's to market a lifestyle. But it was Joe's sharp critique of her spiritual monopoly over the self-help empire that really sealed the argument. The journals, the empowerment conferences, the endless string of "you are enough" mantras, it's all part of a brand where victimhood has been polished into a luxury product. Her message isn't about building strength, it's about selling recovery, one hardcover at a time. When the backlash came, Michelle stayed silent. She didn't confront the criticism, instead her followers did the heavy lifting. Under the halo of grace, she remained untouchable, while anyone who dared question her narrative was labeled a bigot, a sexist. Or worse, someone who doesn't buy into the mythos of Michelle's movement.
Can you think, so the idea is, we were brave and we told the truth even when it was unpopular. Can you think of a single example, and I can, I watched carefully for 8 years, where Obama or his wife said anything that would be unpopular in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, or Washington, D.C. or Los Angeles? I mean, they seem to just read from the script of their friends. Did they ever challenge conventional wisdom on anything?
No. To be fair, let me do one. There was one time I heard him give a speech about Vietnam veterans, and I thought it was a good speech, and he basically gave no safe harbor to people who had attacked our Vietnam veterans.
Tucker and Joe didn't need Michelle to issue a rebuttal. They already had a mountain of contradictions, video clips, and irony stacked high enough to fuel their commentary for years. As Michelle floats above criticism on a cushion of yoga mats, award speeches, and carefully curated breakfasts, Tucker and Joe remain grounded, holding up a mirror and motioning for her to rejoin reality. Once upon a time, beneath the spotlight and all those inspirational quotes, there was someone who claimed to truly understand the everyday struggles of regular people. But that person now seems lost beneath a $1,000 designer coat and a Netflix contract. Michelle Obama's brand of feel-good messaging isn't just hollow, it's prepackaged. It begins with a motivational Spotify playlist and ends with a red carpet media blitz. She parades around with empowerment slogans like armor. But her latest reinvention feels less like a message of hope and more like a throwback to 2008 with a platinum budget. And yes, while her supporters claim her presence brings strength, it's hard to believe when it arrives in a luxury SUV accompanied by camera crews and brand consultants. Michelle still enters the room with the aura of a first lady. But unlike before, there's no public accountability. just glossy inspiration with a price tag.
Also, when she had her kids, were they private or public? Like, when he was a senator?
I don't know. I just know that
like, he was a senator, right?
Yes.
Before he became president.
For sure.
So I don't, law school, Senate.
I have no issue because I want to live. I have no issue with Big Mike. I don't care that they killed that sex slave in Martha's Vineyard. That's what happens to sex slaves. They drown in ponds. That's what happens. You fuck the ruling class, you drown a pond. That's what happens. If you get your little mouthy, you go into the pond. I don't have a problem with it. I have no problem. I think it's good. I actually think it's good. I think it makes our country fun. I think it makes us unique. I think Putin and them are scared of that shit.
They do it all the time.
I think Putin and the Chinese are like, you don't know what's going on there. Because they got people that maybe they're men, maybe they're women, we don't know. I think
Michelle Obama seems to have developed a unique knack for placing herself at the center of every national issue. Crime spikes. Clearly the country didn't follow her gardening tips. Inflation? Maybe if more people read her memoir, they'd learn how to manage money like a former first lady. It's as if she's appointed herself the emotional compass of the nation, navigating every topic back to her own narrative. Speak up with a genuine point, and suddenly you're branded as anti-education, anti-health, anti-progress, anti-puppy. Basically opposed to whatever vaguely noble concept she's championing that week. It's no longer a conversation. It's a carefully curated aesthetic made of filtered Instagram posts and kale chips, bordering more on devotion than dialogue. From the balcony of a luxury estate, Michelle appears detached from the absurdity, gliding effortlessly through the media's upper atmosphere untouched by the realities she claims to address. Once a figure who stirred genuine emotion, her voice now echoes through marble hallways, heard mostly by those inside her own carefully built chamber. The more she tries to play the role of America's older sister, the more she comes across as a tenured professor giving a TED Talk about regular life, moments before stepping into a waiting Tesla. At this point, she's not offering inspiration. She's presenting elitism with a polished grin, rebranding indulgence as empowerment. Her version of progress resembles a luxury ad wrapped in moral language. Every detail, every public moment is perfectly styled to convey both privilege and relatability.
Joe Rogan is calling out Oprah and Michelle Obama for hypocritical speeches at the DNC. Watch.
She's up there talking about income inequality. Like, hey, lady.
Yeah, I know.
You're rich as like, how is that equal? And also, when Michelle Obama was saying, I think she was saying her mother or grandmother was always suspicious of people who took more than they needed.
Yes.
Like, you are worth so much money.
Take more than they need. The Obamas have 4 mansions.
I mean, it's a bunch of rich people talking about rich people.
Michelle Obama's modern public persona isn't just a continuation of her First Lady image. It's a refined product that has evolved into a media empire strategically crafted for maximum cultural impact. But according to whispers from White House aides and behind-the-scenes producers who worked with her during and after her tenure, what we're witnessing may be more stagecraft than sincerity. One source allegedly described the atmosphere around her as less about public service and more about brand protection. This plays directly into the scrutiny leveled by Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson, who dissect her contradictions not just as political missteps but as deliberate branding moves. Their commentary hits harder when viewed through the lens of her rumored future ambitions. Quiet campaign-style meetings in California and subtle connections with donor networks have sparked talk that Michelle might be testing the waters for 2028. Not through traditional political routes, but through emotional influence and media dominance. This isn't about campaign rallies, it's about Netflix documentaries that feel like stump speeches in disguise. Meanwhile, reports have surfaced suggesting that Michelle's working-class warrior identity might be increasingly hard to maintain. For example, at a recent private retreat in Napa, insiders claimed that entire panels on resilience were attended only by high-paying invitees, each shelling out thousands for seats and signed memorabilia. These closed-door sessions reportedly felt more like curated influencer seminars than grassroots movements. Yet in her public messaging, Michelle still draws heavily on stories of struggle and humble beginnings. That dichotomy, the motivational echo chamber versus the elite circle, has only deepened the commentary from voices like Rogan and Carlson. Tucker's critiques, for instance, go beyond wardrobe choices or book deals. He points to a systemic issue where moral authority is now synonymous with celebrity status. Michelle isn't just playing the part of a cultural leader, she's redefining what that even means, merging personal branding with socio-political sway. Adding to this complexity are the quiet tensions allegedly brewing within the Obama circle itself. According to a former staffer, Michelle's team is increasingly separated from Barack's both operationally and ideologically. Her push into wellness, emotional storytelling, and lifestyle influence reportedly doesn't always align with the Obama Foundation's more policy-driven mission. This divergence might explain why her media appearances have taken on a more individualized tone. Less as a former First Lady, more as a self-styled visionary. Joe Rogan's remarks about her curated image take on deeper weight in this context. She's no longer just part of the Obama legacy, she's building a legacy of her own, complete with slogans, apps, and exclusive speaking tours. Ultimately, the most fascinating element may not be what Michelle says, but what she doesn't say. Her silence in response to criticism is often seen as grace, but could also be a calculated move, letting her carefully styled aura do the talking. If there's a 2028 campaign in the works, it may look nothing like the campaigns we've known. Instead of rallies, expect brand drops. Instead of policy speeches, expect intimate docuseries. And perhaps, as some insiders hint, the biggest announcement hasn't been made. It's being softly rolled out, one lifestyle post at a time. And by the time her endless spotlight tour finally fades, one truth stands out. This isn't what real leadership looks like.